We have a quorum. It's a few minutes after 2. We're going to call the meeting to order. Sandy Brocar emailed me and said she was going to be a few minutes late. Something had come up unexpectedly, so she's going to be a little late. And Representative McConkey said that he would be here, but he may be a little late as well. But we do have a quorum. So what I'd like to do is for us to give thought to the presentation we're going to be making to the commissioners on Wednesday. And what I'd like to do is to start with the trails, because we seem to be further along with that than anything that we've worked on, thanks to Susan. And so why don't you just kind of bring us up to speed on that, Susan, and the kind of what how it's going to be presented to the commissioners on Wednesday.
Well, we can confirm for us the balance in a Primex, that Primex grant.
Okay.
There are no restrictions.
Okay.
So I feel it's in keeping with, the gift, that we could use those funds to finish what I call the employee wellness loops.
Okay.
As well as the handicapped access trail.
Okay. How much money is in the grant?
3,700, Amanda?
I think so.
Yeah, I think only
Okay.
200 or 250 was spent so far.
Okay.
So there's,
All right.
I think, plenty of money to handle those two trails. I've been in touch with, it turns out, Olivia Saunders for Carroll County.
Yeah.
She organizes the Master Gardeners. And so I've asked her to contact her. There's not very many Master Gardeners in Carroll County, but to contact them and see if there's anybody that has any interest in helping us plan the native species plants that we're going to have over there. She has one particular person in mind who's done a couple of projects like this using native species.
Okay.
But he tends to be busy during the summer, so she's not sure. We'll have to wait and see. She's got my email, so if anyone is interested, I'll get a response from her.
Okay. Good.
And there's another natural resources stewards program is another cooperative extension program, and that would the project would be something along the lines that they'd be interested in doing as well.
Okay.
So I'll contact them if I don't get any help, any feedback from a Master Gardener.
On the wellness, on those the two smaller trails for the wellness and the handicap, do we have any idea where those are, what it may, time-wise and so forth, and monies other than the grant, hi Mark, other than the grant to basically finish those?
The wellness trail is actually 3 loops.
Okay.
And I've walked 2 of them, and they're pretty much done. They might need a little bit cleaning up.
Okay.
Might need a little signage.
Okay.
But other than that, they're pretty much done. There's a couple of low spots that we need to put the telephone poles. Are those telephone poles?
Yeah, there are telephone poles that were milled out at Kingswood High School.
Right.
And they flattened one whole side so they can build a bridge on those telephone poles.
Okay.
There's 3 sets of 2.
Okay.
For 3 different bridges.
Yeah. And so that needs to be put down. That's just a little bit of time.
Okay.
And then the 3rd loop, we didn't walk. Wendy Scribner has it GPS'd, so we can, it's already been mapped out. We can walk it with her. She wasn't there that day. And that's going to need some work, but I'll leave the balance of that update to Dale.
Okay.
Because it kind of ties in with
All
Scouts. So I'll let you finish since you're the one that talked about it.
right. Yeah, I'm holding.
Yep.
Yeah, we're still talking about the trails right now. Okay.
Just walking?
Well, if I'm honest, you said that the trails for the nursing home and so forth, that those are pretty well along, so.
We're moving along with those. That was our intention. We told the
Yeah,
commissioners that those were the first 2 projects that we were going to
Yeah, okay, all right.
work on.
What is the status of basically the roughly 6.2 miles that we're looking at as far as really getting out there for horseback riding, biking, and hiking and so forth?
So we were focusing on those 2 projects first.
Yep.
But we just recently We have 4 scout troops that are interested in helping us with clearing
Okay.
trails. And
Okay.
hopefully they'll be working on all those projects,
Yeah.
those 2 that we're talking
Okay.
about
All right.
first. And
I'll get into that in more detail.
yeah, that's why I was
Okay.
deferring to Dale for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
part.
I realize that this may be, at this point in time, it may be an unanswered question. But when we had the fellow from the state park secretary talking about the trails, I'm focusing now on the roughly 6.2 mile trail. He had talked about being multiple use, that we were looking at 8, 10, and 12 foot wide trails here, if I remember correctly. And so it's more than just out there, cutting a few brushes, overhanging branches and stuff like that. Now we're really getting into something. And I'm just wondering what resources may be involved. For the moment, let's forget the volunteers. What may be involved in that, and what resources may be involved in a time frame to do that. I mean, I
The
don't
first
have a
thing we
clue.
need to do, and we haven't done it yet,
Yeah.
the first thing we need to do is get out and actually walk those
Yep,
trails and
yep.
see, what kind of work we're
What
talking about.
condition they're in.
Right.
Yep, okay.
So that would be our next step.
Yep, okay. Okay. All right. Anything else on those?
That's about it.
Okay. What I'd like to ask Susan is, you obviously have done a great deal of work on this, which we appreciate very much. When we meet with the commissioners, since you have the background and the history, would you be willing to make that part of the presentation?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's just going to be a
Yep. Okay.
brief update.
Yep, okay. Good. All right, and the next one is the scouts, and Dale, you've been doing a lot of work on that, so why don't you
Yes.
bring us up to speed on the scouts?
Okay, about a week and a half ago, I went and talked to North Conway's Boy Scout Troop Number 150. They were down at Crystal Lake and Eaton doing some service work down there and having a big cookout. So back up just a few days or a week or 2 before that, when I went and talked to the commissioners, I asked at the end if I could find something to implement our Plan B that we came up with, if they would be inclined to listen to our proposal and maybe consider it. So I said, okay. So I reached out to this troop in North Conway. They responded. I went and talked to them. Kind of what we said to them was, and this was before, I said to them, we have a blueberry patch. We're looking, we tried to lease it. It was not leased. We want to do something, I wanted to do something positive for the land, positive for the farm, positive for the county, and asked them if they would be interested in doing some labor to finish up what needs to be done down there, and then harvest the blueberries. My proposal to them was, I said none of this is definite, this is just me talking, I would have to go to the commissioners on Wednesday, and if I'm correct, after the commissioners, the delegation will have to approve it, correct?
Most likely, yeah.
Okay. So this was what I said to them. I said, you come down and do the work. And since then, I've gone down to see kind of what needs to be done. I haven't talked to Will. Will wasn't in today because I guess he worked Saturday, so I couldn't talk to him. But from what I saw down there, Will has done a really good job of mowing between the rows, but hasn't mowed between the bushes, and the sawdust is still in a pile there. Do you know if it's been sprayed?
With herbicide?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, it hasn't been? Oh,
Well, no,
okay, so are we not doing that this year?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
It's too late now.
So it would be safe for them to get in there now? Okay. So what I propose, and I've since talked to some of the troop leaders, or that troop leader, and I said what we could do was, if we could get you guys to come down and do the work, you guys could pick what you wanted, and if you came up with a plan of what you wanted to do with said blueberries, maybe we could implement it. And so what I figured they could do for labor down there was mow or cut that area between the bushes, which there's, the blueberry patch looks awesome, by the way. Those first 4 rows are
They're loaded.
boatloads.
They're loaded with blueberries.
Yeah, boatload. Mow between that, put out the mulch, and then reap the benefits. What that would be, would have to be agreed upon. What I think we should do is they have a pretty good plan. They want to donate blueberries to the nursing home here, Merriman House at Memorial Hospital, and Mineral Springs. I believe they had one other one, but I'm not sure. Since then, they have also contacted other troops in Carroll County, and we have Troop 150 in North Conway, 151 in Tamworth, 142 in Moultonborough, and 165 in Wolfboro that are all interested, with 10 kids per troop and 5 to 6 active adults per troop. If we wanted another 10 boys, we could add the Arrows of Light rank, which I believe is the gray area between Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts. So that would be another 10 kids. So we have the potential of 50 kids and 28 to 30 adults, if we can, and I think that's enough people to do what needs to be done down there, or at least make a really good dent in it. And that's, I mean, you're talking close to 50 to 70 people down there at one time doing something good. And then they would pick the blueberries, they would donate, they would freeze for future use, they would sell, we talked a little bit about value added, and they love that plan, and they would do pies and other things with the blueberries. And I mean, I'm still working on details. I'm still in contact with all the troops now. I don't think I've got an email in the past half an hour, but that's kind of where we're at with that. There's a plan, there's the volunteers, and an outcome. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Now, I took it one step further, because we talked about camping here on the property at one point. I've called Ken, and I spoke with him, and legally, as long as we don't charge, people can camp here with approval. So they are willing, all these troops are willing to work on whatever trails we want to build, whether it's walking, horse, biking, and then come down here and camp. That would all have to be logistically figured out, obviously, but all 4 of those troops are very interested in both projects.
And I believe that the person from the state that we talked to about the trails said that he would have people that would oversee groups of volunteers such as scouts, etc., and help with the arrangements and setting that all up.
Was that the gentleman that was here that day, Amanda?
Yes.
Giving us the overview?
Yes.
Okay.
I forget his name, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Tom Howe.
want to get that name for you?
Tom what?
Tom Howe.
Well,
To help coordinate
Sounds
this.
good.
Tom Howe.
All right.
Can I start with thanking Dale for going through that effort and doing that? It brings together everything we've been talking about. I'm entirely in support of what you've done. It's a massive effort. I mean, we have 2 members of our committee
Yep.
that have really stepped forward here and really brought positive, and it reflects on the rest of us. And I think we should do what we can to make both of these things come together.
We're not done yet either. I like that. So yeah, I need input from you guys to think if that's, especially from you, to see if this is something that the commissioners would be willing to not only listen to, but approve.
Well, I do want to tell you that we have a lease for the annex.
I know.
That is going to the delegation for their approval. We talked with the people, and they said that in many of their facilities, they're shared kitchen, they share space, and they had no objections whatsoever
Yeah.
to whoever we want
I saw that, that was
in
good
that
news.
to come in and
Yeah.
do that. So I wanted to tell you that, but we do have the
Thank you.
lease that's going out, so.
Who's that, the lease?
Pardon?
Who's the lease with?
Head Start.
It is,
Head Start.
Okay, and they are open basically to sharing?
Yes,
The kitchen.
yes. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, I think we asked him that question in about 5 different ways
Yep.
to make
Okay,
sure
okay.
that it was
All
all
right.
set. And that, would be year-round access if they wished it. So
Super.
you're freezing berries and putting them in, I believe the freezer is still active out
So
there.
it would be okay with them to leave blueberry, if they wanted to freeze them here, you think it would be okay?
To leave them in the freezer, I
Yeah.
would suspect, because they're not going to be using
Right.
the freezer except maybe for
Right.
whatever
Perfect.
little
Awesome.
things. But they said, no, they share very often with other nonprofits, so.
So do you think, what are your guys' thoughts on that? I know this is the first a lot of you are hearing about it.
Well, we
Go for
also have a commercial business that is interested, that asks questions and come and viewed renting the blueberry field. But there hasn't been any real positive, it's like, well, we took a look at it, we're thinking about it, so that is.
But that wouldn't happen until next year anyway, correct?
I don't know what their time frame would be.
Well,
But I
the
would think
commissioners are
if
gonna have to
this
make a
one,
decision on this.
Well, they're not coming to you on Wednesday, are they?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think that Dale's proposal and recommendation, the work that he's done on that, I would hope that we would leave that Wednesday meeting with some sort of a commitment on the part of the commissioners for Dale to continue to proceed. If the thing is, well, there's another group out there that may be interested, it leaves the whole thing in limbo. I think
No,
a
I
decision
don't
has to
think
be
it leaves it
made.
in limbo, because if Dale's got the people, and they're going to come on, they can come on Saturday and do this, and this, then, that would take the limbo right out of it.
Okay,
That was the
two-
problem before, because he hadn't talked to anybody, he hadn't gotten any commitments from anybody.
Yeah.
Now he's talked to people,
Yes,
and apparently has commitments.
Right,
How
well, yeah,
soon,
have
I don't
commitments.
know,
Exactly.
because, that was one of the
Yeah.
things that we'd asked was about the sawdust.
yeah. Who would, as far as, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dale. Don't mean to-
Instead, what was it Tom Howe we talking about?
Yeah, I think that's a
Could,
statement.
I would really like it if I could keep the point on this and sort of do the organization of it, if it gets approved. I don't,
For the camping or for the trails?
all of it, with the blueberries and the camping, anything to do with the scouts, I'd like to keep the point
Yeah.
on
Well,
that
I
if I
think
could.
that ties in with the
We're
trails.
talking about the trails, yeah,
Yeah.
But, okay, so,
Well, there is some overlapping as far as the trails, but I think Dale's focus right now is basically the blueberries and the camping.
Yeah,
But there is
right
some
now.
overlapping with the trails.
Right.
But he and Susan have been working on that, so I don't see a problem with that.
well, yeah, but it's all, because whatever happens here after we do it would be under the commissioner's control.
Yes.
So, I'm gonna ask if I can keep the point for that portion of it from the commissioners on Wednesday, in 2
But
days.
the only thing is the trails, because Susan wants to focus on these 2 trails right out here.
Yeah.
For
Three,
right
yeah.
now.
There's three trails.
Three trails, okay. To get those done, so we've got
Right.
something finished.
Yeah,
And I think right now, the project, if you're going to take 60 people to pick 1,100 bushes, I think you've probably got your hands full.
yeah, but then it all ties into it. I want to help them, and it's not just picking blueberry. I know what I'm dedicating myself for time here, and that's okay, because I think it's a good cause. I think it's gonna be great publicity for everybody to see 60 Boy Scouts out there with their parents doing the work, and then picking, and then following the process through them doing,
Donating.
Making the donations.
it's great,
Making-
going to all these places to donate
The
the
nursing
stuff.
homes
It's
and
just
so
a,
forth. Exactly.
I think it's a win for everybody, so I kind of want to make sure they don't get any road bumps they're not ready for. So I kind of want to keep the point on that. But yeah, as far as when we get into the trails, obviously I'm going to work with Susan, whoever it is, and I'll keep them informed. But I just kind of want to I want kind of this
But
project
I think they can come and camp.
anytime. But they don't want to do that. They want to earn their keep.
Well, they're camping, they might do trail work.
Right, exactly. exactly.
I think that's
Yeah,
what Dale's
they would.
Dale's
These,
proposing.
yeah, and
right?
these
Yeah.
two trails, I don't think we need to get Tom necessarily involved in designing any trails. We just need to finish that third loop that's already been mapped, and the handicapped access trail doesn't need anything.
But the staff could
Elaborate.
help with that third loop, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I bet you they could clean out the other 2 loops in a day. And what are those, 8 feet wide in most places?
Probably, yeah.
Some a little narrower, but, I mean, to make them, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna make these multi-use trails, these 3 out here, but they're pretty good. The first 2 are in really good shape.
Could they become multi-use trails? Well,
We could
that's not the
attach them to
focus.
other trails, I
Could-
think,
Connect them, yeah.
and make bigger loops.
Okay, all right.
These trails had a specific use, and we received monies for those, so
Yeah.
I think they should keep those.
The
working.
handicap and the help,
And if-
yeah.
If you
Yeah.
tie in, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And next, last week, Susan and I went and talked to Georgine. We talked about the horse thing
Yeah,
earlier. And we went to her facility, great facility, beautiful animals. And we were talking about some sort of boarding / trail situation for horses here on the property. I'll sort of give an outline, and I'll let you take it over, because you know way more than me. We were talking about every option, what we could do here, as far as trails, as far as parking and going, and all that stuff. And what we came up with that the 3 of us thought would be the best idea, would we make it like a destination, destination horse riding facility, where you come for X amount of days, you rent a stable for X amount of days, a stall, thank you, stall in the barn or building, whatever it is, X amount of dollars per X amount of days, and then you get to trail ride, and on top of that, and that's just for the horse, and then camping facilities for the people that are riding as well.
and the camping facilities would be the same camping facilities that the Boy Scouts would use, or the Scouts? troops
I
would
don't
use?
know. I mean, we have 900 acres here. I would assume it'd be more dedicated, because we were looking to make the horse part of it a more private-public partnership like we've talked about.
Mhm.
And we talked about putting feelers out if she knew anybody that might be interested in starting that as a business. And I'm assuming there were feelers that were talked about being put out and maybe put out already, and I'll let her get into that. But yeah, what kind of we talked about was that might be the best direction to go as far as the horses go. And I'll let her fill
Okay.
you in on the rest of the expert and why that was the best option.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, after the survey and after talking to some folks that are around and are real hardcore trail riders and seeing some businesses succeed and some businesses not so successful, I've looked at the farms that are around, and they're dedicated to a discipline. So you figure you have horse people with 12 different disciplines, and you can't conflict with those people. They're making their money, they're earning their living that way. However, each of those disciplines does not have the offshoot of a trail system. So if you have a $50,000 horse that's trained to do dressage, and you want him to have a day off, those dressage facilities don't have that. They're not geared up for that. If you have people that do mounted Western shooting, those facilities don't have trails. They're there for their specific sport, and they have 3 or 4 training areas that are geared to that. So the trail system, I think, is very attractive to people who want to have the day off from their discipline. And it's also attractive to people from the survey revealed that there are more mature people in the county who have taken up horseback riding and want someplace safe and governed to ride, so that they have a safe place to go. They know they're not going to be forgotten in the woods, or no one's going to be losing them, because some people tend to get lost. And it would be comparable to the Wildwood Stables at Acadia. It would be comparable to the Green Mountain Horse Association stables, where there are tons of activities and people that go there. It'd be comparable to Blackwater Dam facilities that the Army Corps put together, and there's a huge amount of people that go over there. Pawtuckaway just built some new bridges, and that facility is just blooming as a state park. And just from those indications, I see that people need a place to ride their horses. And when you go for a day, it's kind of like, yeah, I went for a day, but boy, it'd be really nice if I could go for 2 days and not have to go back home. So I'm thinking the camping facility and the overnight facility idea would really take hold. It's one facet of what I see that the horse community needs. The other little facet that I'm looking at, and people are popping up, is summer boarding. We have a lot of people from Connecticut, a lot of people from Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Florida. Our little snowbirds are bringing, apologies to the snowbirds, but they're bringing their horses with them from wherever they are living to New Hampshire, and they're seeking out places to keep their horses with them for the summer. When you invest in this animal, when you invest in this sport, you want to keep track of your animal. You're not going to leave them behind for 2 or 3 weeks, 2 or 3 months. So there's another piece to the puzzle of what horse people are all about, that you can put up a stable, attract summer boarders, and when the time comes for them to go back to their other home, you can be happy, and you've given a service to the people, you've made friends, and you've made some money. So I think it's a win-win situation for the horse people that seek time up here. We've had 2 trail ride facilities, and almost ironic, but we've had 2 trail ride facilities closed down. And people are saying, George, how can you be promoting trail riding when trail riding is closing down? That's because people have invested in their own horses now. They've taken up the sport, they've found it's fun, it's a good thing to do, it's a healthy sport, it's an investment, and they don't want to just go rent for an hour. They want to own, and they want to bring their animal with them. Pet people are a fun group of people to hang around with, and they've invested in it. They've invested in their animals, whether it's a dog, cat, or a horse, and they want them with them for the summertime. Nothing could be better than bringing your horse to Carroll County and riding it for the summer in a space that's geared up for them. Keeping them here, riding, being able to close up shop and going back to your home in Florida or South Carolina, where nothing could be better than that. Nothing. So that's my take on this.
Are any of the buildings that are here now, could they become stalls for horses to?
I don't know, I haven't looked at the pig barn yet, but I don't know whether they're still raising pigs over there or whatever. No. The hay barn, no, I don't know. No, I would use that for something else. That's in the back of my mind for something else.
So if there are no buildings here that could be converted into hotels, how does that tie in to our horse shows then? They'd have to basically keep the horses somewhere else then, right?
Yeah, either invest in, I've got Morton, Triton, Castlebrook, Sunset Valley, Metalcraft, and Agra Expo. They put up a lovely pipe barn where you can get horses undercover. And you can get 8 to 10 stalls in the main compartment, and then gambrel off it or get another 8 stalls on the outside, like we saw at my place. Take your main barn for the people who want a summer board, and then slant off for the people who want a day board, or just maybe 4 or 5 days. So your core people would have their privacy and their assurance that their horses are private, and the day use people could have their turnover space as well. I found a lovely sample. It's called Gaddy Ranch, and then the Green Mountain Horse Association also has a view from some photos of their facility. And it's exactly what you need. People travel over to Vermont and they pay hundreds of dollars to go over there and ride or go to an event, and it's what a time-consuming thing to do what you want to do right here at home. But they're traveling over to Vermont to do that, and that's a shame.
Question, this pipe barn, is that like a poly covered?
No, and I wouldn't go for poly covered, because no matter how good your poly is, it's still going to tweak and it's going to be bad. It's going to billow and bellow, and it's going to have sounds that they're not
sensitive.
They're more sensitive to those that womp womp
Yeah.
kind of sound. No, I would either go with insulated tin roof, like a Morton would put
Yeah.
up, or Triton has a lovely facility that they've put up, and the pipe barns are quick and easy, they're sturdy, they're pretty much horse-proof for chewing, and it's easily replaced on the metal, on the wooden planks between the metal.
Okay.
It'd be minimum restructuring the thing if a horse decided to kick out.
So,
Just so that, I'm sorry, Cindy, go ahead, I'll let you finish your thought here.
did they give you any rough idea of the cost of one of these, say 8 to 10 on each side, so there'd be what, up to 20 horses?
Yeah, you could, yeah.
Cost of something like that?
No, I can price them out. I mean, if we get invested in this idea of putting up a pipe barn thing, I can get I can get a contact with some salesmen and some reps and say, this is where I want to put it. What are my costs for putting it on
Yeah.
a flat area?
Now, is that something you would have an outside private enterprise put up, or something you'd expect the county to put up?
That was my question.
Well, I think the coin is in the air on this one. I think if you built it, can you concession it out? If you had somebody else build it, then they would be taking all the money and everything, and that would not be your concession of earning it. I know Acadia treats it like a concession, and people bid on it and take it and pay for that privilege of having it. But the facility is there. Green Mountain, their facility is there, and people pay, organizations pay to go there, and the people have to pay Green Mountain for that. So I think the county would have to build it and make it, build it and they will come. I think that's the attitude you'd have to take. But it's minimal investment for a pipe barn. It's not, minimal as opposed to, there's a place in New York that's taking an amusement park and turning it into a horse facility. And they're saying $1.9 million, and they're gonna have all of it. They're gonna recreate barns, they're gonna create arenas, they're gonna recreate practice fields, and they're gonna have day use. 1.9 million, and they're gonna convert the whole place into public use and not have an amusement park there anymore.
As you've talked to your group and other groups around the area of the state, are you finding a lot of interest? Is this something that would get a lot of use?
I truly, truly believe it would.
Yeah.
I truly believe
Yeah.
we are the destination people want.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
bring their toys with them, whether that toy be an ATV, whether that toy is a paddle boat, or a pontoon boat, or a horse. This is the destination people choose. We're a lovely place to go to and take your sport and your lifestyle with you. Mark?
So if you had this pole barn and the build out on it, you might start with the smaller, but the build out's
Yeah.
20 stalls, is that what you said?
Yeah. You know, and
So-
At the big end.
Yeah, no, at the big end.
At the
right.
big end, at the big end.
So what would you require for amenities for that? How much acreage would you need, ballpark? And then extraneous other, parking space and a trail network that connects, but how much water do you need? Do you have a sense for that, just ballpark? So,
You were at my place. What have I got there? 5 acres, you think, under good usage?
Between 4 and 5.
Be 4 and 5 acres.
Yeah.
That would, and I have my core barn, 4 outbuildings where I have horses, a hay
Your core
storage.
barn is 12 stalls.
Right.
8 on the inside and 4 on the outside.
And then my outbuildings also have 2, 4, 6 more horses out on the outbuildings.
But the outbuildings are, if I'm speaking out of school,
No, right,
correct me,
go,
are for year-round leasing.
year-round, my
So
horse.
we wouldn't need the outbuildings.
No. And the
So
hay,
roughly
the
5
hay,
acres.
yeah. and-
Yeah, for 12 stalls. But you also have probably, what do you say, you have 4 other outbuildings?
Right,
So probably an acre of the outbuildings is, an acre of the land is outbuildings for 4 other horses. So I'm saying between 3 and 4 acres, plus you would need
yeah.
paddock space to turn the horses out when they weren't riding.
Day use people, Acadia does
Day
not
use
let
people
you,
wouldn't.
they don't allow you to
Okay,
do that.
so we
They
don't
even
need
let you
that.
hand gate, so they come and they stay. The only, maybe another acre or 2 divided into 40 by 40, 40 by 60 turnouts for your, if you had summer boarders, You would need a
Turnout.
turnout for them,
Yeah.
and that would be a courtesy and a requirement for them, because they'd be here full-time. Your day-use people are riding out, that's the horse's exercise.
So if you started out with a 10-acre parcel and build it so that you could be out 15 or 20 acres, that would probably take you through a pretty substantial build-out.
Oh,
It
without
would,
question.
it would.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you would need water and electric.
I'm gonna say
Maybe two water sources. maybe
15 gallons a day per horse?
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Question, how, if such a facility was built, how would it impact the existing equine businesses in the area that currently do take in some summer boarders?
I've seen 3 barns that take in summer boarders, and they
Yeah.
get like 2 or 3 apiece. But their main core are their lessons,
Yep,
that the hunter-jumper people have their 15 or 20 kids taking their lessons, they have 5 or 10 adults taking them, and they concentrate on hunter-jumper people. Dressage, the same way. Mounted shooting, mounted archery, dressage. They concentrate on what they are doing. And a summer dressage person might hear about El Sol and go there. A hunter-jumper person might hear about North Star and
Or
go
Burnt
there.
Meadow.
Or Burnt Meadow or
Yeah.
whatever. They would go there. But if they could come to their own place, I mean, it's their off-season.
Yeah.
They're here on vacation. They wouldn't be looking to jump or leap or, they might want to freshen up the skills. That's why you have your trails. And you might have your, Branch Hill, have a few of those cross-country jumps out
Yeah.
there.
yeah.
Mark?
Mark,
So these people that would come and make a couple days of it,
day-use people.
okay, so what do they expect? Do they expect a 3-way hookup for a campsite? Are they looking for a primitive site with a nice privy area outside and showers? What do they typically?
And I'm going to speak of Acadia because it's the dream spot for most people. Most people say, oh, I want to go, I want to go. When you go to Acadia, you get a pipe barn stall with a water source at each end of the barn. You camp primitive and dry. There is a restroom there, but that is it for the people.
Okay.
Showering, you go downtown. And then there's the trails.
So they don't overnight there?
That you can overnight in your camping area, but it's dry camping. You go and that's all you get. You don't get water in the campground or anything. You park and you camp. And it's.
Is it tent site or
Oh, in a
RVs?
camper,
And
not.
you can RV it, you can do whatever. I mean, they have 15
All those big
campsites.
campers.
They line up 15 campsites and with a picnic table.
Right.
Yeah,
And then those 15 campsites are their horses are across the little dirt road in the 3 pipe barns. And usually the people will rent a stall for their horse. And if you and I were to
Yeah.
go, you would take your horse, I would take my horse.
so
and we
2
would rent-
stalls and 1 campsite.
And we would take another stall, because we have to bring in our own hay and our own shavings, and
Yeah.
we bring in everything.
Yeah,
They
When
do
you,
have,
when you go there, you bring in everything?
you bring in everything.
And then you bring out whatever you leave.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
They clean the stalls out before they go home.
yeah,
And if
they
you
do have a
don't,
manure
you keep
system,
the deposit.
yeah.
Which deposit?
Say if you rent a stall. Oh, I got it, sorry.
Yeah,
Mark,
No humor today, I'm all business.
oh, sharp
That's
today.
Mark.
Good one.
Very sharp.
It's wearing
I
tight.
usually on that stuff, I missed it.
Very good.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Sure,
Um,
Amanda, sure.
I believe the state of New Hampshire has regulations for camping, overnight camping.
This works.
That does meet them.
That works with minimal infrastructure.
Because I didn't know whether you had to have water and septic systems or not.
Now, I don't want to assume anything on this, Georgine.
Yeah,
But I'm
sure.
going on the basis that if it was a 20-stall building, then that would mean that the maximum people that we would have there for a campsite and that kind, would be 20 people.
No, you'd probably pull in 60 maybe. 20 stalls would generate 60 people. everybody owns a horse, everybody's got a daughter or a son or a husband
Okay,
that's gonna be
all
there
right.
with them.
All right.
Not necessarily riding, but you've got
Okay.
people with you.
Well, I'm thinking of the camping, so in other words, the campsite, we could have as many as 60 people there then for the 20 horse show.
Maximum.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
max.
But they'd only
'Cause
have
you-
20 campers.
Yeah,
Exactly.
20 campsites, yeah.
No, on the 20 campsites,
Right.
if I go, my campsite would carry myself and my daughter,
Right.
because we go with our 2 horses. And then we would be at the campsite, one campsite, and the 2 of us would be sharing it,
One camper.
one camper, right?
You would be one camper, 2 stalls.
One camper, 2 stalls,
Or maybe 3.
or maybe
Or
3,
maybe
yeah.
3.
So here's my question.
And some people take their bicycles and things, I mean, when you go to Acadia, there are other people there doing, I would take another person with me who might want to bike for the day or bike for the week that I'm.
Or hiking
because
trails,
Or hike,
or-
oh yeah, or hike or go downtown and shop. Some people go just for the fun of it, just to hang out with us for the week,
Yeah.
and they just go downtown and shop.
Question there.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
So the reason why I asked Georgine to come here, or we asked Georgine to come here today, was so we could present this to you guys to see if you guys think it would be worth presenting to the commissioners on Wednesday. Because Georgine would come back on Wednesday and we'd do the same sort of presentation to the 3 of you as well, to see if you would give us the go-ahead to pursue this.
That's going to depend on who builds the building and where the funding is going to come for the building. That's going to be the first, last, and always question. Sorry. And if Mark says the delegation will fund the money to build it, I'm thinking.
Mark was taking a lot of notes. You never know.
That's my,
What's your feeling?
that's my grocery list.
He's funding.
I think you have great merit in what you're doing. I believe that it could possibly be, it doesn't necessarily have to be that the county puts up this building. There could be a private-public partnership here.
There could be.
So if the idea is strong enough that someone would consider this, and if someone only had to carry the weight of the building, but that their leased property underneath ran the full term or double the term of their mortgage, then I think it has real merit to be discussed. To come up with, one thing I was hoping you wouldn't say was that $1.7 million number, which you did.
Yeah, I know, I was like, oh.
New York.
But I fully understand, that's a
Yeah.
full-blown facility and everything
Yeah,
else.
New York confiscated the adventure park.
Yeah.
It'd be like taking over Disneyland
Yeah.
and saying, what are we gonna do with it? We don't
Yeah.
want Disneyland anymore.
No, but I think there's some partnering that can happen here. I think there's someone, if you had someone that was strong on the horse side, I know there's people that'd be strong on the camping side.
Yep.
So, it's coming up with, is there enough land around? I think it's a tremendous conversation that should continue. And as I've said before, you're a terrible salesperson. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you. So,
Schmooze
I
functions.
honestly think you folks are really onto something, and I'm sure it's something that the delegation isn't gonna wanna put up $1 million without guarantees, but I think this delegation would be more inclined to talk about something positive being done with the land, which I'm hearing all morning, all afternoon long here, and I think it's got great merit, I really do.
And I just really want to be cautious not to step on the toes of the horse people that are making livings at their
Yeah.
disciplines. They
Right.
work hard and they put a lot into the county, working their side of the horse business. You can't destroy the dressage, the hunter
No.
jumper, the western people, the showing people, the showgrounds that make money, the fairgrounds that do all
Yeah.
the horse
Oh,
related
it sounds like
activities.
you're talking an activity that is something different and something that's needed, and it may show when there's interest here, maybe private, groups are gonna think they need to add this too, but we have acreage that we're not using, we wanna preserve, we wanna be done well. I mean, it's a win-win.
It can only enhance the others and make them more attractive. And especially if you had I know the Boy Scouts do the big jamboree, and they usually search for a big place to have their jamboree. Horse people are the same. They get together in groups and say, let's have this big dressage festival. Well, where can we go? Oh, we'll go to Vermont because they have it. Well, what if it were right here? You know, we could facilitate that just as easily by having a nice facility where people would truck in or stay and have a lovely dressage arena here, and vendors that could come and make it a day, make it a week. That's what these people look for.
And then come back and go just riding our trails.
Right, correct, so correct, so correct.
But if I could just finish, I'm sorry. If you build that facility and you do it in such a way that it's in partnership with the county, and you have X number of primitive sites, and someone wants to promote an event, we've got the basis to do it again.
Yeah.
So maybe the county does put up a pavilion later on in the plan. And so, you know, it starts building out. So you always need a seed, and I think you've started in the right place. So I'm sorry, I'll be quiet. That was Dale's line, I'll be quiet.
No,
I think Mark
they're green, so keep talking.
hit something that I've been trying for 2 years, and that is, if you've got an idea, let's have a plan, not just for today, but for 10 years or 7 years or whatever. So you could do this on 4 acres. Well, let's not just find a 4-acre plot. Let's think what might happen in 7 years or 10 years, and maybe you'd want to make sure that you're on an area where you could expand to 10 acres or whatever, but to have a longer term plan. I know the problem is we get elected 2 years at a time, so people have a tendency to think in 2-year increments, but something like this I think should be a long term, like the trails. The trails aren't something that are going to disappear after 2 years. They're going to be sustainable.
Georgine, are there any facilities not in the southern tier of the state, but from say the mid-region on north, where they could have say a week-long or multi-day equestrian series of shows?
They did at one time, but it
Yeah,
was
that was
so
up-
far north. They did
They had the place up in
Cannon, one of the ski places.
Right, Attitash.
Attitash, thank you.
I went to the jumping exhibition, they were
Yeah.
phenomenal.
They have
Yeah.
the rodeo there too.
Yeah.
But we don't have anything else around?
Not that I've ever seen advertised, or nothing I've ever been to Attitash when that folded.
I was so sad.
Down at Rye, I think, is the only other big one, and they're struggling to keep those people here because there's not enough horsey people on the seacoast. You have a boat. You know, you've got a boat down there, you're doing the yacht races or whatever, tall ships. They're making an effort to come back. We have to give them credit. They're making an effort to come back. If there was a backup system for them, maybe so. But I mean, you look at Green Mountain. Green Mountain is full all the time. Green Mountain Horse Association is full all the time. And to the tune of $427, I go for 2 days.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. You have to be a member in order to camp for free. If you're not a member, you have to camp. Your stalls are very expensive, and the supplies you buy there are very expensive. Plus, eating out and such like that. Yeah.
Is there anything that would preclude the county from generating this kind of revenue?
We don't know yet.
Green
Well,
Mountain Horse, they only have a board of directors and such over there, don't they? That's how they run it. And then
Town is not
leadership
used to
driven
making
thing.
money.
Well, yeah, but remember, if the county is going to run something like that, that means county employees, which for some reason they're a lot more expensive than when a private entity is running something.
I would tell you right off the bat, we're not looking for county employees to run anything.
Our thought when we talked about this was a public-private partnership.
Yeah.
And that's still how I want to try to
Like
go
a
forward with
like a
it.
concession kind of
I mean, and then we'd have to figure out
rented.
what we would give said tenant to put up a, just picking a number here, $50,000 barn. How do we make them feel safer about being here for whatever? But again, the reason why I brought this up today was so if the committee thought it would be good to present to the commissioners on Wednesday with facts and Georgina, our expert, and all our, as many ducks as we can have in a row, in a week, in a row.
Where?
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 Where what?
Where would be the ideal place to put it? Where to put it? You
Again,
want it across the street, over behind the courthouse?
well, I would
You
think it
want
would be
over across
where the
28?
trails are gonna be over here would be the ideal place where it could
Well,
go.
some are over here, eventually they'll be across the street.
I don't think you need that right now. I think let's run with the
Concept.
idea.
Can I just put a proposal on the table here? It's obvious that you've done a tremendous amount of work on this, but it's also clear that there's still unanswered questions.
Never said there wasn't.
No.
We did as much as we could in
Exactly.
8 days.
And what I would like to propose, in all the work that you've done, that we vote, this committee votes, that this be part of the presentation that we're going to be making Wednesday with the commissioners. And basically, we ask the commissioners for their approval to continue this discussion. What I would hate to see is this committee to put continued work and effort into it, and then a month or so later, the commissioners say, no, we're not interested at all in this. I think we ought to determine that right now as to whether there is interest in moving along in this, to justify all the work that you've done, but realizing there's a lot more work that has to be done, such as what the building would cost, how much acreage might be needed. Can, in fact, would a lease arrangement be better? Would a public-private partnership be the best? Could the county generate revenue in this? There's still a lot of questions here, but I'd be skeptical about continuing to move along with this if the commissioners say, no, we're not interested in this at all. I would like to, I think, what Mark has said, I think you've done a lot of work on this, and I think this is a very interesting proposal and idea. And I would like to see us continue with it, but I want the support of the commissioners to do that.
Well,
That's just my thinking.
I don't think the commissioners are going to say, no, we aren't going to go along with this, unless you say that the county's going to build it and run it, or something like that. And then the commissioners are going to say, we can only do what the delegation funds.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that's where the negativity would come in, because I think that the commissioners are as much in favor of seeing this land used by the county, by the people, and I think they're as excited about doing stuff as I am, or as everybody else here is. You know, just because we have different ideas or different opinions or different ways of doing it doesn't mean that they're not excited about using the land. Because I don't think anyone wants to see it just fall apart, turn into brush.
We're in agreement there.
Yep, I think everybody is. I think that's what the general public wants, is something done, something. You know, and that something is a broad umbrella. And we're coming up with things to fill underneath it with. And I thought the horse trails was a fantastic idea, you know, and this is just an extension of that. Just like the hiking trails is a fantastic idea, and the scouts camping is an extension of that type of thing.
Georgine, I don't want to read anything into what you're saying, but I'm getting a sense, listening to you, and if I've misinterpreted it, that I'm getting a sense that if there was a presence here that met some of those equestrian needs, that you're feeling over time it would draw others. In other words, it's something that over years would grow.
Definitely.
Am I reading you correctly?
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
all right.
Yeah. I mean, the people who started Green Mountain Horse Association, they started out very small.
Yeah.
It was let's have a place where the pony clubbers can come and have a
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And now they do 3-day festivals, they do 4-day events where people are doing cross-country. Every horse event kind of drools at the opportunity to go to Green Mountain now.
Okay.
And when the floods over in Vermont destroyed them, they were quick to rebuild it because they knew those people were counting on them. And
Yeah.
the events they're touted as some of the finest, and they are. I mean, there's no braggadocio, they are. They're a wonderful facility, wonderful town, people are great. And the horse people that go there are nice people that want to be there over and over again, you know. Oh, I'm taking my daughter to Pony Club over there because I went there as a pony clubber and had a wonderful time. You know, it's a generational kind of thing now.
And it brings in, it's an economic boom for the town.
Huge, huge,
Right.
huge.
Well, 3 people showing up in Vermont's huge, so that's,
Oh, fire.
I have family in Bellows Falls, and that whole area.
You can say that, huh?
Well, they just don't come see me, so.
I don't know why.
Well, I think Conway, North Conway, having such a draw as a shopping area, knowing that they're coming to Ossipee, which is, 40 minutes from
Yeah.
North Conway,
Yeah.
would be, you know, those that
Right.
don't want to
There are
ride
other
or whatever,
attractions
would
here
give
as well.
other things to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's funny you say North Conway, because after we left, I've done some serious thinking about it, and it'd be really great if we made this the North Conway of equestrian land in New Hampshire. If we could do something that big, and I'm not saying, I don't have my backhoe on the back of my truck, so don't worry. But if we could do something like that here, I just see win for everyone involved. And whether it's one stall with an umbrella and I'll hold it, I mean, just to get started, I think it could be something really, really big. So, do you mind if I put you on the spot for a second?
go ahead.
Okay, good. So
I didn't
your
know I
thoughts,
was ever on.
as a commissioner's representative, what is your thoughts as a commissioner for the Blueberry idea for this year and the potential moving forward with this horse trail / day boarding / summer boarding plan?
As the commissioner's representative or as a person?
As the commissioner's representative.
Okay.
I know as a person you're for it 100%.
Caution
I'm cautious.
with the horses.
Yeah.
The horses on the trails, fantastic. I think the commissioners thought that was just wonderful. A place for horses here overnight, I'm not so sure, it depends on the money and who's putting it up. Camping on the property, I'm not so sure. Again, it'll be facilities to, you know, who's paying for those? That will be the big
Paying as far as,
construction.
okay.
Because we not only have to decide whether it's a good thing for the county, we also have to decide if it's a good thing for the taxpayers of the county. I have, and I think I speak for the commissioners, would have no problem building a $200,000 barn if I thought the first year we were going to get $200,000 back.
Right.
Now, spreading that out, I don't know. And of course, the second part of that would be, we have 15 delegation members, and how would they sense? It's been my feeling,
Well, he's getting a question next, don't worry.
yeah, it's been my feeling that if we can break even as far as the taxpayers go, the commissioners seem to be happy. We don't want to increase people's taxes, even though the county is a small part of the tax
Right.
bill. And I don't see, although there is some that, you know, occasionally it's like, well, you know, it'd be nice if we could not spend quite so much money of the taxpayers' money, because we watch over it pretty closely. But on the other hand, it's like, well, if this is going to benefit a lot of them, then that I don't see as a, I would say maybe well, no, I don't want to say that. Personally, I'm quite frugal, but if I can see benefits for it, then I can see the investment.
Okay. So there's the horse barn one, or the horse idea.
Right.
What's your thought as a commissioner on the Blueberry plan for the Boy Scouts this year?
I would like to make no comment on that, please.
So are you saying we shouldn't bring it to the commissioners? Or-
No, I'm just no comment. I'll let them make their own decisions.
Speak for yourself.
My personal opinion is if you can get 60 people to pick 1,100 bushes of blueberries, that's going to be quite an accomplishment.
I don't know if they're gonna pick all of them, but they will pick as much, that, I mean, how do I answer that one? It's gonna be hard to make 60 people pick 1,100 bushels of blueberries. I agree with you on that one. I would like to think they wouldn't be required to pick a certain amount of pints. I would like to think they would come and do enough to cover. I would like to think they would put the effort in that we would expect of them. And if you're saying there'd be a minimum they would have to pick or something like that.
No,
I'm just trying to think
I'm
of,
just saying.
I know.
that, the
Logistically.
blueberries are there and they're ripe over a 3-4 week
Right.
period.
do we, and again, blueberry ignorance, third week of July?
Yeah, it starts into August. yeah.
Okay.
So, the first day, I'm sure you'll have a lot of people and they'll do a lot of whatever. But I don't know, if you can keep them all energized and going, then that's wonderful.
Well, a lot of it,
My goal this year is to find out exactly how many quarts of blueberries are coming off those bushes. Because when people tell me there's $400 worth of blueberries on those bushes, and I go and look at those bushes,
I know.
that's not right.
Oh, I
Now,
agree with you.
Either the birds must have had a wonderful year, or, we're gonna have a terrible time with mummy berries because they were on the ground. So I don't know, but the berries, they look fantastic. I mean, I had been being told how bad everything was, and
I know.
and I go over and I look, and I know, it's like, wow, this may be a tremendous berry year. I mean, we've had a lot of water, so it just may be but I would like to have all the berries counted and accounted for. That's what
Now,
I'd like.
hopefully on Wednesday, we're gonna have more of a plan, and I might even bring a couple of scouts with me, because who can say no to kids, right? That's my plan anyway.
You forget I was a teacher,
Oh.
Joanne,
Yeah.
explain to him.
Well, you're only one vote.
We can say no.
What about if they're cute and smart and have a good plan?
No is a complete sentence.
I know it is.
You would be the subject.
So yeah, I think we can gauge, or my plan was to gauge how much of it they're gonna pick on how much work they're willing to put in prior to. Because it's gonna take a lot to, I asked Ken about this, and we're not sure on the push mowers for kids under 18, so we don't know about that here on the property. But as far as with adults mowing between if we had to, and then it's gonna take quite a feat to put out 1,100 plants worth of wood chips, too. So if they can accomplish that,
Sawdust, isn't it?
huh?
Sawdust, yeah.
It's sawdust. You put it in the cart and run the cart down
Well-
through the middle.
Why not? Oh, through the whole row? I thought they were putting on each plant individually.
Yeah.
Around the base of the.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put it in a wheelbarrow and then you gotta shovel it.
No, they got a cart, goes on a little riding lawnmower type thing. You fill it.
A machine?
Like a gator, take a gator with a wagon behind it.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, but we're not gonna make it too easy for these kids. I want them to work a little bit.
It's 20 bushes apiece, it's like,
They'll,
they gotta work, everybody's gotta work 20 bushes.
Well, their plan was the wheelbarrow, so I'm going with it.
let
That
them
was-
let them use the other equipment if it's available. It'd be a
And
lot
if they
easier.
can, I don't know if they can use that equipment.
That insurance, I don't know about.
Right. Wheelbarrow
You
might
can
be
bring
the
your
only
own
thing they
gator,
can
I'm
use.
sure.
Yeah, drag it.
Uh-huh.
They'll get
So
20
yeah,
done.
so
We'll
I just
try to
wanna-
make it 10.
I don't wanna present this if you think it's going to be met with deaf ears.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Why do you think, I'm just curious, why do you think it would be?
I just wanted to make sure.
Because what is the option? I mean,
Not unless there's someone there with money, cash in hand, which I don't expect. But
Well,
That's possible.
Well, let's.
I'll let you do it first, so
No,
you
let's take that a step further. So the question's eventually gonna come back to us, and I think I can speak for most likely a majority. The delegation would be more in favor. We put out $1,500 with no results so far. And I'm not so concerned about what the count is. It would be nice to have the count. I really don't care. It's a positive program moving forward. Let's see where it goes. And if you end up with, if there's 4 weeks of a season and 2 weeks, the energy is gone from the scouts and their moms and their dads, this might get their uncles, this might get their cousins to come. It might really excite people. Then you open it up to pick your own or say goodbye to the crop. But I don't want to discourage it in any way whatsoever, and I don't want to have to tie it to any money whatsoever from the delegation. And I plan on presenting, when you have your bullet points of what you present on Wednesday, I plan on making a presentation, a short positive presentation on Monday when we meet as a delegation. And it would surprise me all to death to not hear positive out of that. So I think it'll be positive out of the commissioners, and I can assure you that it most likely will be positive.
so it needs to be positive from the commissioners before it goes to you, correct?
It would be
No.
nice.
Oh, it
It doesn't
doesn't?
have to be. No,
Okay.
No.
It would be nice.
Yeah, I would love it if
Right.
everyone was on
But I
board.
don't think it'll be negative from the commissioners. I really don't, Gail.
Okay.
I'm not going to stand up and dance on the desk because it's just like, I taught high school for a long time, so, and this is who you're talking about, is high school students.
The troop I talked to, there were 3 high school kids, the rest were in junior high.
Yeah, I rest my case.
Yeah.
Let me ask a question here. If we don't go along with these 4 or 5 scout troops going in there picking the blueberries, who's going to pick them? Bears. What's the fallback?
Sounds like the birds.
Okay, all right. In other words, they don't get picked at all then?
It would be a,
No,
Well,
I
we'll
have
pick
a
'em.
group of volunteers that we're going to pick
Okay.
them, but I'll back
Okay.
off for the scouts. I mean, that is no problem there. But I mean, the only other thing I was saying, there is a private enterprise that was interested, and if they show up with money and a lease or whatever, that would be the only
but
thing.
they're not on an agenda for Wednesday.
I don't believe so, no.
But
I haven't seen the agenda. But I don't believe it. But I'm telling you, you said I didn't communicate before.
Oh, I know,
So
but-
now I'm
okay,
communicating.
well, now I am gonna say it.
Now I got you.
now I am gonna say it, because, wait a minute, hold on, I got a thought and I'll lose it. When we did this before, you said you didn't wanna rent it this year, you wanna get the blueberry patch in good health and then lease it out next year.
Yes.
So why am I even worried about someone coming with money this year?
I'm just telling you, there was someone that was interested, because you wanted me to keep you
Okay.
informed.
No, you're right.
Now, you see, that is why I don't go around with pie-in-the-sky ideas and pass them out, because they cause all this extra discourse.
Well, my thought is this, I didn't think I was gonna have to worry about still being open to lease until next year.
Well, and I don't think you are.
Okay.
Well, the other thing to consider too is, I don't know how much money you're talking as far as that lease goes, but.
Oh, I don't either.
Yeah, okay.
Don't know
Because
either.
we'd be
It's
losing all that
fine.
Right.
help on the
It
trail.
was like when
It's
Head
like-
Start started, we didn't have anything in concrete, now we do.
Right.
Got it.
Now, you brought in facts and figures and bodies.
You're
with
darn right I
names.
did, Amanda.
There, see, that's, you
I
got.
haven't brought an expert with me for the other one.
Don't look at me,
Oh.
Lou. I don't do
Not the blueberries, the
I don't do
horses.
blueberries. No berries here.
I think you forgot who brought Georgine in here.
No, for this plan that we got together.
A question, Dale.
Shoot.
You had, in talking with these various scouting troops, you had used the word or the term value added.
Right.
There was the blueberries become blueberry filling for pies and.
Yep.
How extensively did you discuss that with them? Is that a possibility that they may want to explore that this year? Do you
Not-
have access to the?
I don't think we're gonna have, I didn't offer up our kitchen, I said, maybe future years.
Okay.
But this year, I think it's gonna be mom's gonna cook down a bunch of blueberries.
Okay.
Or they're gonna get together and do it at
Okay.
mom's and do a lot of blueberries.
Okay.
I do know, I don't know if it's gonna happen Wednesday, but 2 of the scouts are going for some badge. And they're gonna have to do a business plan for what they wanna do with the blueberries. So hopefully before we pick blueberries, there will be a plan of what's gonna happen to the blueberries.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay.
Thank goodness we got volunteer scouts to do that for us.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be a long-term
Say a word.
plan.
No, where I was going with that, wanting to know how far you, down the road you discussed
We're
that.
15 minutes on value added, they
Is-
never heard it before.
Yeah, because if in fact, use of the kitchen could be available through Head Start, this might be a good dry run to see, how that might work. Because it wouldn't be heavy usage, but just, okay, how is this thing going to work? I mean, even if only one scout troop said we want it for the afternoon, it would just give us an idea. And the other thing is in that conjunction, if, knowing how it works, we may want to make that available to the farm community here in the county as well.
Without question. I haven't brought this to them yet, but I would like to put a bug in the ear of the commissioners for the pumpkin patch as well, maybe this fall, for them to do some effort on that. And maybe, that was before I said that, rewind. What were your plans with the pumpkins and the squash that are planted there now?
I have nothing to do with the pumpkins and squash that are planted there now.
Okay, so do we have a plan? Is there a plan for said?
I believe that the pumpkin commissioner has a plan, yes.
The pumpkin commissioner.
That's hump.
Oh, okay, I'm like, okay, he has a plan.
I believe so.
Okay. Because when we talked about it, he said he would be open to help with it.
Oh, okay. Well,
So
then
I'll wait till Wednesday.
Any further discussion? I would like to see a proposal on the table then, that as far as the trails go in the scouts and the broadening of the committee, there was a motion by the committee basically to present both of these options or uses to the commissioners on Wednesday. Is someone willing to make that motion?
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Second it. Okay, is there any discussion?
what about the others?
I'm just talking about these two right now.
What others?
Well, the other things we've been talking about.
Well, we'll take them piecemeal rather than a blanket. We've got these two.
Blueberries,
No, the
blueberries, Cub
scouts and the
Scout,
trails.
Boy Scout camping and trail building and horses, correct? Those,
Well, I think Chairman's trying to break that proposal in 2 parts.
Yes, in 2 parts.
Okay.
And recognizing that there is overlapping here.
okay,
But basically, there's going to be a presentation made by Susan on the trails, presentation made by you on the scouts, recognizing that there's going to be overlapping. I'm not going to call it redundancy, but there'll be overlapping. In other words, when Susan is making her presentation, you may jump in because of the role the scouts may play in the trails, and conversely, when you're making a presentation, Susan may jump in and say, but there's also going to be this as well.
no, she won't.
Don't say that now. So anyway, so there's a motion and a second. And so we're going to have 2 presenters at this point, but at least 2 presenters for Wednesday on the
Question.
trails. Okay,
Where does Georgine fit in? Because I've asked her to be
Georgine,
here
yes,
Wednesday.
yes.
Is that a separate?
that was the next.
Okay, all
yes.
right.
Since you're making that presentation, and you talked about maybe having some scouts there, I assumed, which is always dangerous, that Georgine would be there as well, to basically to back up and to
Right.
fill out your presentation as far as probably more with Susan on the trails and so forth.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're comfortable with that, Georgine? I'm going to
Sure.
base, you've talked with both Susan and Dale about this. You can make that
Yes.
Wednesday? Okay.
So you're talking about trails, you're talking about scouts, the blueberries,
Yes,
and then you're talking about the horses.
yes. Well,
Those are 3 different things.
well, no, because she's, okay, that's why I say they'd be overlapping. Because you're right, Amanda, there are 3 things. That is something separate altogether, but it's still kind of part of the umbrella of the trails and also to some extent the scouts. But you're right, there's a strong connection between the three.
I have a question
Okay?
of Amanda.
Yes.
Is oral report acceptable?
Dale made the agreement for the presentation, but did you agree?
It was just a presentation. I don't think there was, I wasn't writing a
Specifics.
report. I don't
So
double
to-
space anything.
So it's an oral presentation
Yeah.
and there's nothing in writing?
No,
No.
no.
But it will be filmed.
Right,
There's
it'll
the
be
video.
on video.
There's the filming. Yes.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah. It'll be there, or John, one of them.
No, I actually will be there because
Oh.
John's on a special mission.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And if he tells us, he'd have to shoot us.
That's-
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, there will be a fee.
What?
All right,
Okay.
so the three,
Yes.
because the presentation is of ideas that we've researched.
It's gonna be a recreation of what I did today, with maybe a couple added tidbits.
Well, what about the other things that we're working on?
We will get to them.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I wanna just,
Good.
do you mind?
Go, Neil.
I just wanna focus on the things that we can move forward with and make progress with right now, because like you say, the blueberries are gonna be ready the third week of July starting into August. I wanna kinda get all our ducks in a row, so this goes with the least amount of hiccups for them and for us as we can. I mean, I don't think our committee's dissolving after this meeting on Wednesday, so I'm hoping we can still work to go forward.
The commissioners are looking for the different things that this committee's working on,
Yes.
or looking at.
And it is my understanding is that on these three things, the trails, the scouts, and the equestrian, the horseback, that those are three projects that we have gathered enough information, Dale and Susan and Georgie have gathered enough information that we are ready to move forward on these. The blueberries, you know, that's a dead deal, that's ready to go. The trails, the three trails for the handicapped and so forth, those are ready to go. On
They've
some of the
already
other things,
given their okay for
Yes,
that.
yes.
They've asked Susan to chair that and go ahead and do it.
but to take some of these projects to the next level, such as the trails, such as the horseback riding and so forth, it's going to require more effort and work on our part, on the committee's part. What we're looking for from the commissioners on Wednesday, and if I'm misreading this, others jump in, is this is where we are. We are ready to go with some of these. All we need now is the commissioner's approval to say, yes, go with them.
Well, they've already given that for the trails.
Okay, discount the trails with the other
Okay.
programs.
But the conservation easement, we formed a committee.
Yes. We'll get to that, Amanda. Right now, let's focus on,
But we have nothing on the conservation easement. We formed a committee, but we haven't done anything with it, so we have no information.
let's not bring the conservation easement situation into this at this point in time. Let's stick with what we've got. And that's the trails, the scouts, and the horses. Okay, so that's the discussion. And the motion is on the table, it's been seconded, that basically, that on our Wednesday presentation to the commissioners, we present these. We may be presenting other things as well, but we're going to definitely present these and look for the commissioners to say, yes, go with them.
We still got 40 minutes today, so.
Well, we got other things to discuss as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any further discussion on those three items? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now, other items. One was conservation easements. And I know, I have talked with Tom Howe, with the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests, who I believe was up here and gave a good presentation. I've talked with Peter Pohl, who at the listening sessions was the one who basically, with other support at that listening session, talked about conservation easements. And just some history here, Peter Pohl was the Extension County Forester for about 37 years. Probably, he knows the county lands probably better than anybody, although Wendy is catching up with him. But for 37 years, he knows these county lands. And I also talked with Ken Robichaud, the county business manager, about this because when Ken was at Stratford County put a lot of their land under conservation easement. And I'm not going to say, and later on, I'm not going to say they regretted that, but they realized that they may be too quick in placing some of those limitations on the county land, because now going forward, they cannot do some things that they wanted to do. And so I think Ken brought a good perspective to this, in that saying, okay, there's got to be more planning in the part of the county. So I also felt, and thinking about it, there's no reason why our full committee couldn't be part of that discussion. So in other words, it's more than a subcommittee. It's our committee plus these 3 additions. In talking with Tom Howe, he said, as I can appreciate, that his schedule is pretty tight. The only day in the week that he would be available is a Friday. And he gave me a whole list of Fridays that he was already committed that he couldn't be here. And so it would be sometime in July a Friday in July before Tom Howe could make the meeting. And so, which is why I have not discussed this with the committee, because we haven't met since then. But I would like to see us continue to, at least to discuss, putting some of the land under conservation easement. So, the floor is yours.
I'd say if you want to set up a meeting middle of July, end of July to have a discussion, why don't you do that?
I will do that then.
And I'm not quite as eager to put land under conservation easement, but I'm certainly willing to hear the conversation and see how it'll benefit the people of Carroll County.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to listen.
Okay.
I'm willing to listen to the various types they have. I believe they.
Yeah.
are very-
One of the things, as I think I mentioned way back when, I had probably an hour and a half or 2 hour meeting with Tom Howe and took lots of notes. And the thing that you have to be aware of, I mean, and he was very candid and honest about this, that once you sign on to that, there's no going back. That's a done deal. And so, which is why I think Ken is concerned that, there needs to be, and I agree with Ken, there needs to be a lot of planning and forethought going into this thing, in which you have to try to anticipate what some of the county's needs are going to be, not just next year, but maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. And it's difficult to predict, but the thing is, there has to be some planning on that. But anyway, I will get in touch with Tom Howe to review those dates sometime in July that he might be available. It'll be on a Friday, and I will plan that meeting. So based on that, I don't know if we want to go before the commissioners on Wednesday to discuss this at this point in time, because we really don't have a lot to tell them.
Well, I think that's what you're supposed to be doing, is telling them the things that are coming up. It was a sharing, it was a communication problem they had.
So, if I may,
Yep.
I found the page here. So you want to bring up and just touch on the fact about the commercial kitchen, the leasing fields for grazing, another high tunnel, Boy Scouts, we got concert venues, food hub, production ag, and that stuff?
What does that have to do with the conservation easement?
Nothing, but you just said we wanted to talk about things we were working on.
Well, yes, because
So-
that was what was brought up, was there was no communication. And I had said that I don't bring these just ideas back and forth. And then you guys decided that you'd like to know that. So I'm
Okay.
thinking that if we tell them that we have, well, I don't know if you've just dissolved the Conservation Committee, subcommittee. You want to make it the whole committee?
Yeah, on further thought, I thought, why don't we make it the whole committee? My thinking is, and I don't, at this point in time, and they may want to revise this thing, I don't think that we would need more than 1 or 2 meetings to gather all the information to decide, is this something we want to continue to pursue? I don't think this has to drag on and on and on. We will know probably at the end of 1 meeting, we want to pursue this or not.
So what I would think it would be, you would say, well, we're setting up a meeting in July with Peter Pohl and Tom Howe.
Yeah.
To follow up the one we had originally on the conservation easements,
Yes,
for more information.
to explore conservation easements on some of the property,
Right.
yes.
And to answer your question, whatever that list was you just had, if those are things that have been discussed
with some research done to validate their,
Well,
Mark.
if I could,
Go.
I don't think I've been convinced by the presentation I heard from the conservation easement people that it has any real advantage to the county. But I think it's a conversation we should have because people have asked about it. And I think Dale's point on these other items are, these are things we're exploring and we're talking about. We don't have numbers, but we've talked about those things on meetings I've been here pretty extensively. So I think it's just more of in passing that these are some of the things that we're also talking about. But you know, your positive moves right now are the blueberries, equestrian, the trails and those things.
Camping.
Those are our focus in the camping
Yes.
for scouts. And then, you know, we're looking also at conservation, what a high tunnel and all these things would be. I think it's just informing everybody of what we're doing.
One of the other things I
Is
wanted to
that
add.
accurate?
I guess,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
one of the other things
But
that
I'm going off what the original.
Right, yeah.
He came in and he gave us an update. And he gave her the update. And on that was conservation easements. And he talked about Tom Howe and the Society for Protection of
Yeah.
New Hampshire Forests.
Yeah.
So I thought that should be mentioned.
I mentioned that at your
Yes.
commissioner's meeting?
No, dear.
Okay,
No.
I'm confused.
Don't.
Steve
It's okay.
I am.
came,
It's okay.
Okay, yeah, all right, I'm with you now, okay,
to
all
the
right.
commissioners,
All right.
and he gave us a report
Yep, got it,
on what this committee was doing.
got it.
And now we're going back and having another report from this committee.
Got it.
So I think the things that were on the original report should be in this report.
In some respects, it's an update. This report is an update
Right.
as to what has happened since the last report. The other thing is that what we have not discussed at all, and again, this would just be a kind of an overview, is that at this point in time, it does not look like we will get funding for the feasibility study. And the thing is, I've had several conversations, emails and phone conversations with the New Hampshire Community Development Finance Authority, and that was the last organization that I had found that basically was willing to fund feasibility studies. I won't say there's all sorts of money, but there are many federal and nonprofit organizations that will fund projects.
Yeah.
But they won't give you money to go out and find what projects you want to do. You've got to do that on your own. And I talked with this Alex Jett down there, and she was very supportive and very helpful. And what she and I had basically come up with is that on community development block grants, there are certain requirements and criteria you have to meet. And one of them has to do with you have to have a certain percentage of people who will qualify or benefit from this to be low to moderate income. That's a very strict requirement. And Carroll County does not meet that requirement. So what I was in talking with Alex, I said, well, okay, let's backtrack here. I said, the direct beneficiaries of the feasibility study may be the farm community in Carroll County. Could we isolate the farm community? And she says, yes. He's okay, let's take a look at that. She says, but what you've got to do is, you've got to determine their farm income. And if they've got an outside job, then, you know, the whole thing comes in here. And I said, well, how do we do that? And she says, that's going to be tough. So Sandy had talked with some people up at NCIC. I have talked with others at the North Country Council, and boy, it's hard to get that kind of breakdown of information. Yeah, go ahead.
You can't use the the ag census?
I looked at one of those ag censuses, and they didn't give that kind of specific detail. They did not give farmer John Jones and his wife Mary what their income was. It gives a
Well, yeah, of course, it's not going to give you individuals, but it should give you at least farm income on a county-wide basis. You know, average farm income, it'll give you the number of farms. It should do that.
yeah.
It'll hide the outliers, you know, the
Yeah.
ones that are the 100,000,
Yeah.
300,000 and up, but
Without basically a survey of talking with farmers themselves, and not just one or two, but some sort of an aggregate, I think it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to get that kind of data.
Could we ask Sean Jasper, the commissioner, for his assistance?
We could ask him if he has any sort of data out there. But that's gonna be, that's the thing, it's.
She says, okay, this person said that you have to be able to,
It's a combination of different things, and,
Yeah.
I mean, they
that's
probably
that one
get,
particular grant.
they probably get US Census data, and so they can tell you in Carroll County, what they can tell us, what the per capita family income is and all that, they can give us that. But what we would need is, we would need more of an individual breakdown to come
Well,
up with that.
by
And that-
occupation.
And that's, yes.
By
because now-
occupation.
Because now we're talking a specific occupation, and I mean, nothing is impossible, but I think it's gonna be hard to get the kind of data.
I don't know, you might be able to, Sean might be able to help us find something out
Well,
from the ag
Yes,
census.
yes.
The ag census.
you're right, but so that's the difficulty, getting back to specifically what Amanda and the commissioners are gonna be looking for Wednesday. Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about the feasibility study. We had determined there were two areas that we wanted to discuss, two possible options that we wanted to discuss and explore in the feasibility study. One was the Agricultural Learning Center,
Yeah.
and the other was much more detailed as to the farm community, and basically, would there be a use by the farm community here, either through creating a food hub, through a commercial kitchen, leasing some of the land, forming a farmers co-op here, what might be other uses, some of them that Dale had mentioned, that basically, that the county farm could now play a crucial role in developing. And we felt collectively that we did not have the expertise, the know-how, the knowledge to do that, and that a feasibility study would do it. So those were the two areas that I think we determined we wanted to explore with the feasibility study. But the kicker is, we cannot find money to do that feasibility study. And I'm not saying that door is closed, but we have found it's going to be far more difficult to find a funding agency that is willing to fund money for a feasibility study that, like the Community Development Finance Authority, may not ask for that kind of detailed information that may be difficult for us to get. So that was the kind of update and report I wanted to give. So the conservation easement, the feasibility study, and there may be others. I would give just a brief overview and an update. This is where we are on this. But then I'd be turning to both Susan and Dale to go into far more detail, specific detail, as to this is where we are at this point in time with 3 specific projects, and we're ready to go forward with those. But we want the commissioners to say, go. That was my thinking. Make sense?
Yeah, keep your end short.
Yep. And one other thing too, and that is, I got an email from someone, and they had talked about solar on the county here. And prior to our meeting, I was talking with the office downstairs. I was under the impression that the county itself, over a period of time, was looking at possible solar on the county lands. And if so, and I'm speaking just for me, I would not want this committee to get involved in a project that the county was already working on.
They are not working on it.
They're not working on it.
They discussed it.
Okay.
The county then employed Siemens to,
Do an energy audit.
yes, to do an energy audit, and the energy audit is going to focus on this building and the House of Corrections, I believe, for cooling, heating, and I'm not sure what else. But the solar piece was kind of at the end. And they haven't looked at it. We have not yet received the final report from Siemens.
Okay.
We haven't gotten, we've got a preliminary report. last fall, and we have not gotten a final one. The preliminary report talked about this building and the House of Corrections and the heating, cooling, and there was not something else. Do you know what it was?
May I add?
Please.
The contract you have with them does, like items 1 through 5, but in the future, you can add to look at solar as a possible use. But that wasn't put into the contract, to look at solar.
Well,
It
they
was to
listed
look at
it.
electricity and the other savings that could be done with changing lights out and stuff like that.
Well, my question is this.
I think we ought to look at solar. I think solar's wonderful. The presentations that we had that came before the commissioners, I think the solar net metering is a fantastic idea to put it across the street when no one can see it. We get as a matter of fact, I think the electricity rate just went up 17% today. Was that right, Mark?
I don't know that. But we're locked in, so we're okay right now.
Right now. But the solar would be much less, of course. But plus, if it was net metering, then they rent the land and they pay the county for renting the land. And the above and beyond what we use, they sell the solar. That's how they make their money. Conway is doing on their landfill, I believe. Conway's putting in a solar field with New Hampshire Solar. I think there's one in Milton, a great
Yeah.
big one.
Isn't that
down.
one you said there was the same
I-
organization, right?
Yes. Now, up at the water plant in Conway, are you familiar with that? Who put that in? Do you know?
That's my water precincts.
Yeah.
The water precinct actually owns that, right?
Yep.
So is that put in by revision?
God, that I don't know. I can find out.
But I was up and looked at that. So there's a lot of solar around and it's being used and it's apparently being efficient.
Now, if the county pursues it, right now, I believe this is 30% tax credit on solar. Would the county be eligible for that 30%? Pay taxes,
I would
but is
expect.
that a credit that somehow the county could use? Being basically a nonprofit and a government agency entity that wouldn't apply to the county?
Well, I think it depends on how you do it. If the county put it in and owned the solar field,
Yeah.
then again, we'd have to have county workers take care of the solar field. Or if you have a company comes in and rents the land and does net metering, then we don't have anything to do
Okay.
with that except that we would get our electricity at
Okay.
a reduced rate. But it depends on whether the county wants to be its own solar company or whether it wants to rent land and let them be a solar
Okay.
company.
Well, my question is this, as I said, I got this email from a commissioner giving me a name of a person to contact, have the committee contact, and I guess my question is this something we want to take on, or do we want to just basically turn this over to the county government and have them follow up on this?
I don't see that something no, I personally don't. That's more of the nuts and bolts and
That's my feeling.
Well, it's 10 acres, it's 10 acres of land. It's 10 acres of county land.
I think we have enough going on, and the county wants to put in a solar array somewhere, just let
Yeah.
us know where it's gonna go.
Well, as I said, we did meet last week, and I want to get back to the person, but I didn't have anything to get back to him until we'd had a chance to meet. But speaking for me, I would just as soon turn this over to the county and have them follow up on this and take care, rather than us at this stage of the game, get involved in another project.
Sure.
I agree.
Okay?
Mm.
Agreement on that? Okay, I will turn this over to Ken then. Okay,
I think we ought to get involved.
I'm sorry, what?
I think we ought to get involved. I think it's use of the county land, and it would benefit the taxpayers in the county. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Come up with uses for the land.
By mutual agreement of the group. And at this point in time, it would appear, Madam Chairman, you don't have a majority.
I'm not a Madam Chairman today. I'm just another member that has just one vote. Actually, I only have one vote on Wednesdays.
All right.
But I do have an opinion.
Dale, you had listed a bunch of things, that the kitchen and so forth. Do you feel that in my brief presentation about the things that we're going to be covering with the feasibility study, touch base on those and cover that?
Well, if they don't, I'm sure I'll jump in.
Oh, I'm sure.
But no, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
as long as we touch on these things, and if they have any questions about where we're headed, I think we can all have our area of where we're informed, and we can all help out with that, I think.
Yes. And as I say, just to repeat, my sense of this, and I welcome feedback, is that I will, as chair, I will lead this off and just briefly go over some of the things that we just discussed, the conservation easement, the feasibility, yes.
Even if we want to make the statement that if we don't get a grant opportunity for the feasibility study, the option exists that we could do our own feasibility study.
And maybe we can.
Make them aware of everything that
Yes.
potentially that could be on the table.
Well, and that's the decision I think that we as a committee have got to make. And, is do we want to basically further explore and pursue doing ourselves some of those things that we were looking to fund out for the feasibility study? It could very well be that we could put together a survey ourselves that would at least...
Especially if we got the $10,000 that the delegation is holding.
And the other thing is, we...
Good one, Dale. Good one, Dale. That got easy.
Hey,
That's not an issue. I just wanted to add, that you're not closing the door on finding a source for a feasibility study.
No, we're not.
So that's, I just want you to make sure that,
Yes.
something comes and lands on this desk.
Exactly.
All of a sudden,
we will jump on it.
We pick it up and we keep going.
And I thought, that I said that at this point in time, the door looked closed, but we will continue to pursue this to see if there are other funding opportunities out
It's
there.
still open a little.
Yes, it is.
But
It is.
the more we do, the more the funding that was refused to us might be, that door might open more too.
Well, the other thing is, let's talk about that for a second.
you stop.
The first committee, when we had, we invited, as I said, that Rose Wilson over. She spent a good time going around meetings. She does feasibility studies focusing on agriculture. And I found her very knowledgeable and very helpful. She really gave us a lot of information free. And basically, what she would do is she would have gone out and done the listening sessions. Well, guess what? We did the listening sessions. She would be focusing on and talking with Andy Kendall. He said the same thing. You do a survey. You're trying to determine just what the farmer interest is in the county, in our case, the county, just what they're open to and how interested they are. Well, the thing is, if we could probably put together a halfway decent survey that would touch those bases, we would ask a lot of the questions that we've just, off the top of our head, have talked about. Is there any farmer interest? If it is, how far does that interest extend? We could basically talk to the Carroll County Farm Bureau, see if we can't get an invitation to talk to them.
I know who the president of that bureau is, and I'm going to ask if we can set that up at Wednesday's meeting.
but-
Anytime you wanted an invitation, you could have it, that's no problem. But I think, back to what I said before,
Yep.
the more we work, the more we do, the more whoever's out there has confidence in us and what we say. Because when we started, there wasn't a whole lot of confidence in whatever was going to come out of this committee. And I think since we've done so much work with the trails and there's things that people, and they watch and they see. And you know, nobody here has, you know, thrown things at each other or whatever. We're actually making progress. And we're talking about things people want to hear talked about. And I think they're having more confidence in this committee. And I think that's important because now I think, you know, we had the listening sessions and there were a lot of people that felt, well, it's just another committee. Now I think if you sent out a survey, I think you'd get a much better response than you got at the listening sessions because people are more aware of us. They're aware of the fact that we've actually done something. We've gotten some things accomplished. We're talking about new and outside the box ideas. And I think that those are the types of things that build confidence.
And that- especially when we start enacting some of the things we've been talking about, that's just gonna snowball.
Yeah.
And could I suggest that we not send out any kind of a survey until after we get some blueberries harvested and get some PR and some
Yeah, I don't think we have
photos in the
time.
papers and, you know?
Yeah, you know, we knew it was going to be a work in progress.
Yep.
Oh,
That's right.
can you? It's you, I didn't know which one I was gonna ask the question to. You have the relationship with Damon, correct? Could you see if he will, he's usually here for your commissioners meetings?
He drops in sometimes.
Could we throw at him that this is gonna be going on for us, and he might wanna be here for that?
I'll try to get in touch with him, see if we can do
I
that.
wanna
think
get
he's
as much
aware.
publicity to the Boy Scouts and the Blueberry thing as we can get, cause it's
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah.
So the more he can write about it, the better off we're gonna be. And I mean, to the point where I've already asked for donations for blueberry containers from local businesses and I'm getting them. So, yeah,
I
so
will,
let's keep going.
yeah. Damon had called me the other night, and we talked briefly about the meeting on Wednesday. I mean, he's aware that there's gonna be a meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, good.
In our presentation. But you're right, I can give him a call just to
That's
confirm
fine, yeah.
that he will be there.
I kinda wanted to get as many people involved, and the more it's in the paper, the more potential for people to get involved. And whether that's personal, business, anything. Cause, I don't know, we're gonna need stuff,
Dale,
so,
We'll find stuff, don't worry.
okay.
Dale, did you talk to Paris Farmers on the
I
container?
most certainly did.
Good.
And I'm, on the way home, I'm gonna stop at a couple other businesses and, and try to see what they can do as well.
What have we missed here?
I think we're on a roll. I just want to say about the Scouts. The Scouts have had some publicity issues themselves as of late. And I think this would be a tremendous, they're going to gain as much out of this, if not more, than we are. So I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, when I went and talked to them last week, I don't know if any of you have been to Crystal Lake and Eaton, but they have all the little short telephone poles around the public beach that are all painted white. Well, they were faded and not looking very well. Those kids went around and painted all those telephone poles, and nobody was taking pictures, no one knew they were doing it, and I think when they do good things, like it hopefully is gonna happen here, people should hear about it. And I think people, I mean, that's kind of why I said that right now, I want people to know that they're doing things in the community for other people, and it's not being seen, and they need to be rewarded for their efforts.
Okay. All right. Last shot. Anything else? Anything we've missed?
Well, if it's sharing time, I have something. So
Okay.
here we're at the end. I was at a presentation of the Community Loan Fund, who I've always thought the Community Loan Fund was just interested in bringing groups together to own property. The Community Loan Fund has a new division that I don't know that you're aware of, and their focus is on farming. And I'll be happy to bring some brochures and things forward. So,
Yes, please do that.
they had given the money when Tuckerman's Brewery was having a hard time finding capital to go into their new building. They brought that forward. And they've since partnered with a couple food cooperatives, and they have a special funding source for that, so
You're throwing out the big guns at the end. Well done.
just telling you.
Community Loan Fund?
Thought I was just going for a free beer, which I was, but I learned something. And I have a whole bunch of information from them. They would not do a feasibility study, but for instance, Georgina and her plan with the project might be something that they would consider. And they are a source when other typical sources aren't out there. And I got a feeling when you go push an ag production, you know, there's those sources out there.
Is there a contact person?
I do. I've got it in the car. I'll give it to you when I leave.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see that information, thank you.
May I also, any plans you have for planting next year, you need to get them solidified because we're already starting looking at the budget. So anything that would involve any,
Land lease?
well, I was talking about fertilizer, seeds, et cetera, of that nature, that you would expect the county to come up with, needs to be brought up.
So, which brings me to another question, sorry. The pumpkin/squash field,
Yeah.
was that,
No. That's why I hope you have, before you go all the way through your question, no. That was not anything that was planned ahead of time.
no, that wasn't
Not
my, was
anything that in the
that,
budget.
was that land prepped for planting by county
No,
employees or private?
that was told by Mr. Babson.
So it's privately done?
No.
Well, I know where you're headed.
It's a private-public operation. How's that?
Okay, so, but if we, say, someone wants to come plant 2 acres of pumpkins next year, if we, and it's privately done, is that something we can look into? That the county would not have to put up front money for?
So you're talking about somebody coming in and leasing a piece of property?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Sounds like,
They'd
yeah.
be leasing
Well,
it.
I don't know, because if we, so what entailed the private-public partnership that's involved in the pumpkin patch now?
Well, it was the county's tractor and the county's tiller, I believe. It's the county's tiller.
Okay,
And a county employee.
Mr. Babson ran the tractor.
Mr. Babson was not the only person that was involved with the planting. Mr. Babson's not
Oh, I
the
don't
only
know about
person that's
that.
involved with the water stanchion that's sticking out in the field to water the things. The private-public partnership was done privately by a member, and I don't know, was completely discussed by the entire not by the delegation, of course, but not by the whole commission, in my opinion.
Before it was done?
Correct.
No. Although it may have been last year. But I have no.
I'll let that one slide for now.
Dale.
I have
Close my
no-
book right at the moment.
Recollection of the whole process, but yes.
Ed,
You just have to forgive me, but I have a hard break. I have to go to Ossipee.
okay, well,
Uh-huh.
okay, thank you.
And you have a special guest here tonight.
I think we do.
Yeah, you do. Executive Counselor is going to be there.